Greetings, my fellow Americans and all other people around this world who embrace life, liberty, freedom, and property. I was listening to Ebro and Low Key on, what was it, Rap Life Review or Rap Review Life, whatever the heck that garbage show's called. It's not all garbage. They have interesting things to say, but it's episode 76, and they started getting into how America was not built for black people. That's why black people fail. That's why we are on the fringes, and that's why they hate to see black people at the Super Bowl doing the halftime show. I enjoyed it just because it was part of the music that I grew up on. Not really grew up on, but listened to, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the message. I understand some of the things that they're trying to say, but this is just a product of the black people these people in particular, Ebro and Low Key, being completely and utterly misinformed about this whole situation. America was not built for black people. I don't give a damn who it was built for. What all I know is that the American Constitution on the 14th Amendment says that all people born in America or naturalized citizens are equally protected under the law and the state wherein they reside. So whatever the case may be, whether it be my Second Amendment right, whether it be my Bill of Rights, my First, Second, Third, Fourth, and the Fifth, it basically comes down to a mindset. Who cares? What happened to this whole, pardon the French, what happened to this whole fuck this bullshit mentality? This whole, hey, I'm here, this is me, you have to deal with it. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense to me. It applies to me because I'm born. I don't care if Joe Biden doesn't think so. I don't care if Kamala Harris don't think so. I don't care if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders or any other person who sits there and tries to tell me about white privilege and how white people, the only way that I can succeed is if white people hand me stuff. The country was born and created with an idealistic point of view that had never been thought and have never been executed before ever in the history of ever. The United States idealism of all people created equal with and have certain unalienable rights, and among those are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, is an idealism that has never been done before. It was an idealism that was born in a society that since the beginning of time, since there were tribes and invading other tribes, had slavery. Every single nation, society, and tribe had a form of slavery. You invade someone, you snatch up the kids, you snatch up the women, you kill the men, and then you breed with those women and you create your own children. It happened in Native American countries. It happened all over, on every single continent, on every single island. It happened everywhere. So let us not pretend that the United States invented slavery. Let us not pretend that the United States was the first one to get rid of slavery. Let's not pretend that we did not have our troubles. But let us not pretend that we are also our ideal self. Who is their ideal person? There's very few people, if any at all. You can always do more. You can always get up earlier. You can always do the exercise. You can always be more determined. You can always be more dedicated. You can always do more work. You can always do more with your family. There's always something more. Think about who you would like to be ideally. Are you that person? No, you're not. You work towards it. And that's what we've done in this great country. We have worked towards it. Tell the people who come from Congo and come from the other African countries off that continent who come to America and succeed. Tell the people who come from India or the Philippines coming to America to give their children better opportunities and give their children better opportunities. Within one single generation, they go from coming here as an immigrant, having to work at a laundromat, a restaurant, convenience store, the list goes on. And then in one generation, they produce a doctor. We as black people have several different things, black Americans have several different things working against us. The fostering of failure and oppression, and the teaching of white privilege. White privilege is white supremacy, a benevolent form of white supremacy. White supremacy says, I am born with certain privileges and superior to you, therefore we should rule you or you should get out of our country. Those are the two options. White privilege states, I was born with certain privileges above you, and therefore I must do my best to help out you. And they've actually convinced black people like Ebro, like Low Key, that white people are superior to you. This is nonsense, and we have to stop it. There must come a time where you take personal responsibility, like Kevin Hart, like Oprah Winfrey, like Michael Jordan, like Don Lemon, like, excuse me, Cory Booker, like Terry Scott, like Thomas Sowell, like Larry Elder, like Walter Williams, like Ben Carson, like Kamala Harris. The people who are spouting this white privilege thing, the people who are and also millionaires and super successful, did not follow the same messaging that they are spitting out of their mouths. They did something completely different than what they're saying. They worked hard, they held themselves accountable, and they did not take no for an answer. Jay-Z, got his money a shady way, multi-billionaire. How? Because he waited for handouts? No, the music scene, the music producers and the people who give money shunned him, pushed him away. What did the man do? He created his own thing. Oprah Winfrey, she wanted to do something. She played the game for as long as she had to play the game for. What does she do then? She has a TV show. She has a television station. She has a magazine. She's world renowned. Kevin Hart, what does he do? Same thing. He owns all of his stuff. Snoop Dogg owns all of his stuff. It doesn't make any sense. We have too many successful black people in America today to pretend that America is so racist that it keeps everybody down. It's ridiculous. Not to say that it doesn't foster. There is some systemic racism out there that does foster the oppression. Most definitely. They try to get you into a system that is difficult to get out of. And that is a culmination of abortion, that is a culmination of welfare, that is a culmination of minimum wage, affordable housing, all of these things, which foster single parenthood, which then in turns into prison, which then turns into more criminals in a cyclical cycle that causes more and more and more and more and more. It's not white people that are going out and killing 6,000 people a year. It's black people who are out there killing 6,000 people a year. Their own people. Why? Because of drugs, because of gang mentality, because certain aspects of our culture have strayed away from the things that made us the most successful. Martin Luther King was not successful because he was out there gang banging. Malcolm X wasn't out there successful because he was out there gang banging. Those two people have something very similar in common. They were spiritually and religiously based. They had a different outlook on things, for sure, but no minds are the same thing. No minds think the same. This is ridiculous. And we need to start waking up and seeing that the people who are supporting these very policies are supporting policies that are systemically racist. Abortion, systemically racist. 34, the proof, all I have to do is just do this one thing. For decades, 13% of the population does 34% of the abortions. Women make up 13% of the populations, but they also make up 34% of the abortions. Now, let's look into that even further, right? We start looking into the fact that 1 in every 3 babies that are conceived are aborted. Since 2000 to 2010, there's been no growth within the black community. It was roughly 13%, about 12%, between 12 and 13%, depending on how you look at the numbers. In 2000, 2010, 12 to 13%, depending on how you look at the numbers. Asians, 4%, now 12%, 9%. Hispanics, 12%, 2010, 19%. Just about every single demographic has grown in America, with the exception of the black population. Why is that? Number 1, abortion. 1 in 3 babies are aborted. Number 2, the murder rate. So what was it, like 14,000 people were killed? Half of those, or was it 12? 14 or 12? About half of those were black. Black people make up a third of the population, but half of the people who got murdered were black. 13% of the population were black. 80-something% of the people who were killed, who murdered, who committed the crime were also black. How is it the white man's fault? Oh, the drugs. Reagan put in the drugs. Well, okay, Reagan put in the drugs. Who sold the drugs? Black people sold the drugs. You have to take, and it's not even black people. Individuals who were the individuals who bought the drugs, then sold the drugs, are the individuals who bought the drugs and sold the drugs. I've seen weed before. I've seen cocaine before. I've seen people use it. The fact that they're using it does not affect me, doesn't get me high, doesn't do any of that stuff. What did I do? I kind of removed myself from the situation because I knew that the situation may escalate and something may turn out from it. I've been around it before. Now, unfortunately, it's become a large part of our culture. And instead of the gang members who are taking over turfs and taking over communities, instead of them trying to turn them around and uplift them, similarly to what the Black Panthers do, they sell the drugs to their own people and add to the oppression that they are a causative factor to. Then blame the police for harassing them, then blame white America for keeping them down. Joe Biden was the one who wrote the 1994 crime bill, which allowed other states to get tougher on crime because that's what everybody wanted, including the black community. We need to start doing for ourselves. Plain and simple. The more I do for myself, the more I'm able to do for other people. We need to get this in our mindset. We need to stop. We need to stop giving jobs, these meaningless jobs like the rim shops, rappers, gang members, whoever is making money out there. Invest that money into the schools. Invest that into the children's education. Stop taking 13-year-old girls. The average age of prostitution in America is 13 years old. Stop taking 13-year-old little girls and putting them on the street. Stop selling drugs to your community. Taking fathers out of these children's homes. Killing mothers. Take some accountability. Start with the man in the mirror and look at yourself and ask yourself, who is at fault? What are you doing? It is above and beyond ridiculous, ugly, just terrible to sit there and blame society for something that you are doing to yourself. There are programs out there that help get you off drugs. Well, I don't want to be working for no $13, $14, $15 an hour. But I can make all this money. You're not making money. You're not doing anything for your future self. You want to talk about generational wealth? What we are doing is we are creating generational criminals. Do better for your children. Stay out of prison. Stay out of drugs. Don't get into that business. And if you do something positive for your community. At least, at the bare minimum, do something for your community. When you have a little homie coming up to you, wanting to be a part of that life, say, no, little homie, that's not what you need to do. You need to stay in school. You need to get smart. Give them money when they do good in school, when they show up with the report card and they're doing good. Change the culture so that we can create a whole entire society of Ben Carsons, a whole society of Frederick Douglasses. Stop doing it to yourself.